Welcome to MMO Grinder Sidequest, where I take a look at closed beta and trial subscription games, giving you a quick first impression. Today I'll be looking at Dota 2, the sequel and remake of the popular Warcraft 3 mod turned genre initiator, currently in an invite-only closed beta. Again, my Sidequest disclaimer. This video is technically a first impression, not a review, and while I will end up going into much more detail than I normally would in a Sidequest due to the fact that I'll probably never do a full episode on this game, I will not cover every single aspect of Dota 2. If you wish to inform people about what you like personally about Dota 2 versus other games of the genre, and I didn't happen to mention it in the video, feel free to say so in the comments of where you're seeing this, but keep in mind, I didn't forget, I chose not to. Graphics in the game are nice enough if you tweak them to your tastes. On my old monitor they come across as rather blurry and they've been defaulted to generally low settings, but more competitive players might prefer that. If you have the specs to handle it, this game can look quite nice at very high settings. There's a vast difference on the playfield between the two teams, the Radiant and the Dire, a rework of the mod's old factions of the Sentinels and the Scourge. The Radiant side features green grass and a lush forest, while the Dire side features a scorched earth with dead trees and cracks of lava abound. It makes it much easier to tell which side of the field you're on at a glance, provided you tend to lose track of yourself. I will also admit that killing the Ancient on the Dire side of the map looks much cooler than it does on the Radiant side. Music in this game, while great, I'll admit I tend not to notice that often. The entire soundtrack is composed by Warcraft 3 and World of Warcraft composer Jason Hayes in collaboration with composer Tim Larkin of Myst and Portal fame. You can definitely hear the Warcraft influence in the soundtrack. However, what I tend to find ruins the immersion is the hideously obnoxious announcer, who sounds like he escaped from some FPS game, yelling out ridiculous phrases such as "monster kill" and, no joke, "holy shit" in this loud, echoey, gravelly voice.
Godlike! Holy shit! Triple kill!
However, the game offers the ability to change his voice with cash shop purchases, giving the announcer role to some more well-loved heroes in the game, or my personal favorite announcer option, Rux, the narrator from Bastion.
Nobody likes to play support, yet everybody likes to win. Hope the Dire weren't partial to that mid-tower.
Heroes in the game also have voice clips when gaining gold, killing players, and performing other tasks which are utilized to a much less annoying degree, even audibly laughing if a player happens to type LOL. Starting out the game now forces you into what I consider a good idea, but something that really should be skippable, a tutorial quest. In this quest, you play as the hero Dragon Knight and learn the very basics of the game, including movements, last hitting, leveling up, and, well, that's really it. There seems to be a lot of room for more of these, and it would prove a very useful system to introducing new players to the game, provided they will expand upon it. This tutorial, unskippable mind you, now seems to be mandatory on your first playthrough. The core game remains the same. You have towers defending 3 lanes. You hide behind weak units called creeps in this game as they death march to the opposing base. You take out the towers in the lane and push your way into the enemy base, destroying the final structure to end the game. But, if you think that's all there is to it, you are sorely mistaken. Let's talk about some more notable differences to those used to League of Legends. 1. There is no recall ability. If you want to return to base, you either walk back or you buy a portal scroll, which also acts as an easy teleport to one of your still standing towers. If you need to shop, you can do so anywhere, but in order to pick up the items you must either be at the shop yourself, or you can purchase a courier, a pack mule that you and any teammate can command or control to retrieve items you've purchased and deliver them to your hero. It might be tough to wrap your head around this concept initially, but it's a pretty neat feature to those who are strong enough to stay in the field but have more than enough gold to shop with. Speaking of gold, when it comes to creeps, you can only get gold by being the last hit. If you are not the last hit, you get nothing. This is tricky at first and can be tough to get used to, as without it you're not going to end up with any items. Other ways you can obtain gold are by the very slow gold generation that's given to all players on the map, having your team kill a tower, and killing or assisting with the killing of an enemy player. You lose a bit of gold on death, and you can choose to spend some of your gold to respawn instantly instead of waiting out your respawn timer. A very strategic and kinda dickish mechanic in the game is the ability to deny the enemy team a kill by killing your allied creeps and towers before they get a chance to. Once an allied creep or tower is below a certain health percentage, you can target your own structure and attack it by pressing A and then clicking on that unit. If you're the last hit, you'll keep the enemy from getting all or most of the gold from that kill. In certain conditions, you can even kill your own teammates instead of letting an enemy get credit for the kill, denying the enemy both the experience and the gold for finishing them off. Think of it like putting a bullet in someone's head rather than letting them get torn apart by zombies. If you find yourself under attack, you can temporarily defend your structures with the Fortify button in the lower right corner, which will render your structures invincible for a few seconds. This is a 5-minute cooldown and any player can press it, so make sure everyone is in agreement when they want to use it. The stat system might seem complex, but can be deceptively simple considering there are 3 major stats: strength, agility, and intelligence, and the benefits of each are clearly marked and defined on your screen as you play. A melee hero might get the majority of their attack power from boosting their strength stat, but an agility or an intelligence hero may gain mostly defensive power and health from any points that they'd have in the strength stat. This also makes it so that, while you should focus mainly on your hero's main stat, no point in any other stat is truly wasted. The item and shop system is way more complex than other games though, and many items may have very simple stats that might seem downright useless unless you understand the mechanics. The builds are also rather scattered, with multiple items possibly ending up with the same upgrade, different tabs for different categories, and some items affecting your hero's skills, many items having activated abilities. It's pretty overwhelming to a newcomer. I highly suggest following the recommended list, even if you don't fully understand how it works right away. They also allow for custom and personal builds that you can set up and select, or choose from a number of community-submitted builds. There's also a secondary secret shop contained within each of the team's forests that contain the most powerful items you might need for your build, which either you or your courier will need to be present at in order to make purchases. Gaining levels also works similar to other games of this genre, except you can level beyond your max skills. Once you reach level 16, instead of putting another point in skills when you reach your max skills, you just boost your overall stats to a max level of 25. Not every hero follows what's expected, specifically as there's a number of heroes like Drow Ranger and Bristleback that have a passive ability as their ultimate. Some heroes can manipulate the day and night system or have increased vision at night when most would normally be reduced. As for the community, I'm not even remotely confident to go up against other players, but you can team up with others to go against bots, or partner with AI bots solely for practice. If you're playing alongside others, be prepared to be coached, and possibly quite poorly. Players tend to yell at each other for not buying certain items without explaining why you should buy them or what they're specifically for. Of course, they are far more vocal outside of the game. Hell, just posting anything about League or Smite will almost guarantee a Dota fan will show up claiming their game's superiority and brandishing an invite code. It completely put me off of the game initially, but I've spent enough time with it to appreciate it more. Seriously though, Dota fans, cool it. The game seems it'll be taking the Team Fortress 2 route of being free to play, but making its money with cosmetic niceties and other things like the aforementioned announcers. Unlike League, all your heroes are unlocked immediately, and it's believed you won't be forced to purchase them on an individual basis like you would in League or Smite. Do you kick ass in Smite? You're gonna lose in Dota 2. Are you awesome at League of Legends? You're gonna lose in Dota 2. Are you an avid player of the original Dota? You'll probably do alright. Yeah, the core framework of Dota is basically the same as other games of its type, which is to be expected of a genre initiator, but when it comes to sheer complexity, this game takes the cake. It's very unforgiving to new players with dozens of systems and aspects that will unquestionably frustrate those unfamiliar and possibly familiar with the genre. I'll admit, this game, it grew on me. I still suck and get confused on occasion, but the time I've spent in the game and the advice I've received from viewers on my stream helped make this a much more enjoyable, if not more methodical, experience. Like the game's pace itself, Dota takes time. You'll have to take it very slow and become familiar with it before you just dive right in, or things are not going to go well for you. When you have a bad match, you will have a bad match, and it's not remotely as easy to recover from. So if you think you've had tough matches in League or Smite, you haven't seen anything yet. If you're looking for a key or know anyone who plays the game on Steam, chances are you can get an invite key for this. Otherwise, you can buy into the closed beta for $30 as a measure of showing support to Valve, the title, and the developers who've turned this little modded game into a full-fledged reality. This has been an MMO Grinder Sidequest, and it's time I logged out.